They told you the golden cities were gone. They told you Shambhala was a metaphor, Hyperborea a poetic hallucination, the city of Enoch a myth, the heavenly Jerusalem a promise deferred to some distant afterlife you'd likely never qualify for. They patted you on the head with polite theology and thin archaeology and said, "These stories comforted primitive people. We've moved on." But something in you did not move on. Something in you burned when you saw mountains at dusk, when you read of lost islands, when you stood in old cities and felt a memory that did not belong to this lifetime. You did not move on because your soul recognized a rumor beneath the ruins. What if they never fell at all? Imagine a valley no satellite can read correctly, a place folded not out of maps, but out of frequencies. To the untrained eye, it appears as ordinary stone, ordinary ice, ordinary desert wind. But to another kind of vision, the kind that has not forgotten the pleroma, that valley blazes. Towers of living light, streets that remember every kindness, rivers that shine with encoded hymns, thresholds guarded not by swords but by sincerity. This is the hidden city of light, plural really, many expressions of one idea, a realm where the Aeons still walk among those who have remembered how to see. The old texts hint without confessing. In the secret teaching attributed to John, in the fragments of Enoch, in the strange ascents of Ezekiel, in the riddles of Revelation, there is always a pattern, up a mountain, through a gate, into a city not built with human hands. The Gnostics read these not as hallucinations, but as impact points where higher architecture presses against lower history. They saw the city as a frequency, pleromic resonance temporarily visible. You have stood at those thresholds without realizing it. A back street at sunset that glowed too deeply, a snow-lit silence between pine trees where time loosened its teeth, a ruined temple where the air felt thick with an invisible attention. You paused, then rationalized, then scrolled. The city did not vanish. You simply tuned away. This is the first heresy we must resurrect. Sacred geography is not only external. The hidden city of light is layered over this world like a forgotten transparency. It does not belong to maps. It belongs to perception. And the Aeons, those divine intelligences we have reduced to metaphors or angels or nothing at all, still move its avenues. So tonight, we are going to walk there, not as tourists, not as consumers of lost civilization clickbait, but as exiles who suspect they've been corresponding with home in dreams. We will braid myth and scripture, vision and history, until the question becomes unavoidable. If the city of light is still standing, why did they need you to believe it fell? Before we start, ask yourself, quietly, honestly, what if your nostalgia for worlds you've never seen is not dysfunction, but a breadcrumb trail? What if the homesickness you carry has GPS? Because once you admit that possibility, the pilgrimage has already begun. The old myths were never meant to be flattened into fairy tales. They were encrypted maps. Hyperborea, a land beyond the north wind, ringed by oceans, bathed in an unsetting light. Shambhala, a pure realm hidden in Inner Asia, visible only to the worthy origin point of a future golden age. The celestial city in Revelation, descending from above, with proportions of impossible precision, its gates cut from single pearls, its streets from transparent gold. Different cultures, different ages, yet the same archetype, a luminous polis beyond corruption, connected to this world but not bound to its fall. The Hermetic texts whisper, as above, so below. The Gnostic texts add, as within, so without. Together they accuse our literalism. The city is not simply up there or back then, it is also in here and right now. When the Gospel of Thomas says, "The kingdom is spread out upon the earth and people do not see it," it is describing a hidden city draped over every landscape, every alley, every human heart that has not yet given up. Imagine spreading those myths and visions on a table. Hyperborea's perpetual light, Shambhala's guarded wisdom, Enoch's translated city, Zion made of measurements and gemstones. Lay beside them the visions of Ezekiel, living wheels of fire at the river Chebar, of Isaiah, God's house on the mountain drawing all nations, of John, an inner temple where no sun is needed. Look closely. You are not seeing contradictory legends, you are seeing different languages describing the same pattern. The pattern is this: there exists a realm where divine order has held, a place the archons never fully colonized, a station halfway between the pleroma and the broken world, where aeonic presence is still native. Some call it a stronghold, some call it a refuge, some call it the heart of the earth remembering heaven. What if these stories are not memories of a city that vanished, but messages from a city that chose to cloak itself, not to punish, but to protect, not to hoard truth, but to keep it pure until enough eyes can bear to see again? You have to ask, who benefits from telling you it's all allegory, or else all postponed to the end of time? Who profits off a world where the only holy place left is a book you're not allowed to question, a building you have to pay to maintain, a heaven always out of reach? What if the Aeons left us coordinates, and the coordinates were not longitude and latitude, but qualities of being? If that's true, then finding the hidden city of light is no longer about discovering a lost continent. It's about becoming the kind of person whose resonance unlocks its gates. Picture this: a traveler trudging through a brutal desert. Literal or digital makes no difference. All around, a culture of glare and noise, concrete and code, neon distractions and collapsing narratives. One evening, as the sun falls, they see something impossible at the horizon, a faint vertical seam of light where no city should be. They blink. It vanishes. They blame the heat, the glare, the algorithm, the stress. But that is how the gate appears, not as spectacle for the curious, but as a question for the ready. Hidden texts speak of it sideways. Enoch was not, for God took him. Elijah passed through a whirlwind. John, in the spirit, sees doors open in heaven. Milarepa looks up and sees a citadel resting on thin air. These are not random miracles. They are witnesses who caught the gate when their frequency aligned. The gate is subtle because the city is not for tourists. You cannot force it with greed, with occult shortcuts, with half-awake obsession. The Aeons host no spiritual Disneyland. Their realm is constructed from qualities like clarity, humility, courage, alignment with truth. When those qualities unify enough in a single soul, reality itself thins. Corners of rooms become thresholds. Alleyways at dawn become corridors. Dreams become training grounds instead of escapes. This is where the teaching becomes stern. You are not denied the hidden city by an elitist god. You are denied by your own attachment to the counterfeit architecture. You cannot hold the gate if your loyalty is still with the marketplace of lies. The gate appears when your being says, "I would rather know what is real than be comforted by what is convenient." Ask yourself, What am I still clinging to that ensures I will mistake the city for a mirage when it shimmers? What narrative, identity, resentment, addiction keeps my eyes too dull to recognize home when it stands in front of me? The gate is not picky about biographies. It has opened for shepherds and scholars, criminals and kings. It does, however, respond to coherence, to a heart that has stopped trying to serve both the demiurge and the deep. If you begin to live as if that seam of light might appear at any moment, you start to reorganize your inner world. And that reorganization, not the coordinates of a mountain range, is what moves you closer to entering. Now step through. You find yourself in a city without decay, not sterile, not polished into lifelessness, but vibrantly ordered. The air has weight, as if meaning itself has become atmosphere. Light does not shine from a single sun. It wells up from foundations, from walls, from the faces of those who walk here. The architecture is impossible to build with fallen hands. Columns formed of braided radiance, plazas of stone veined with singing metals, waters that refract not just color, but memory. Every structure feels symbolic and utterly practical at once, like the geometry of a language you're only now remembering how to read. Hidden texts hint at this. A cube-like city with gates of pearl, foundations of jasper, sapphire, chalcedony, a gardened mount where God walks at evening, a temple whose measurements mirror the human body, a heavenly Zion where the righteous shine like stars. To literalize these is to cheapen them. To dismiss them is to amputate your own recall. The city of light is both. It is symbol and place, inner and outer, template and home. As you walk, you realize something unnerving. This city knows you. Not the curated version you offer online, or the broken suit you wear for survival. It knows the pattern of your trying, the way you have staggered toward truth, even while sabotaging yourself. The streets are aware. The stones hum softly with recognition. Here, nothing needs to flatter you. Everything already sees you. In this place, law and love are not at war. Justice is not weaponized by the insecure. There is structure, oh yes, but it is the structure of music, not a cage. The citizens bear themselves with a relaxed authority that makes the tyrants of this world look like terrified children. You may wonder, how could such a place have anything to do with me, with my scrolling and bills and heartache and half-belief? The gentlest and most severe answer is, it has everything to do with you. Because this city is not an aesthetic reward for the dead, it is the blueprint for what you were always meant to live even here. To walk its avenues, even in vision, is to remember that your soul was not designed for the slums of self-hatred. And once you remember that, certain compromises become impossible to unsee. You turn a corner and there they are. Not winged cliches, not sentimental guardians. The Aeons appear like living principles wearing forms your mind can bear. One is tall and utterly clear, eyes like polished still water. Nous, divine mind. One burns with a soft gravity that pulls every lie out of you. Aletheia, truth. One moves like green gold wind through branches. Zoe, life. One is robed in indigo, gaze fierce and maternal. Sophia, wisdom who fell and rose. Others stand beyond naming, each a note of the first harmony. They do not bow. They do not demand you grovel. They look at you as an artist looks at an unfinished canvas that already contains the finished work in sketch lines. The hidden gospels speak of them under veils. In the Apocryphon of John, Barbello and the Aeons emanate in syzygies as the fullness of the divine. In the hymn of the pearl, the prince remembers his garment in a far country. These were never meant as mere poetic flourishes. They are genealogies of soul and city. The Aeons are the ones who kept the blueprint intact when the lower realms fractured. Here in the city of light, they are simply at home. They walk among souls who have attuned to their resonance, instructing without condescension, correcting without cruelty. Their presence is stern because they will not play along with your illusions. It is loving because they remember your origin better than you do. Occasionally one will pass you and, without words, confront you with a question so exact it feels like a blade made of mercy. Is this version of you the one you want written into eternity? You cannot dodge. You can only breathe, and in that breath, something shifts. The Aeons do not replace your will. They invite it to grow up. They remind you of a reality that the demiurge and his systems work day and night to bury, that there is a standing civilization of light, still functioning, still accessible, still invested in the liberation of minds trapped in fabricated heavens and curated hells. If that is true, then your spiritual life is not an isolated struggle. It is a correspondence with an unfallen kingdom. And like any kingdom, it expects you not just to visit in vision, but to represent it in the realms beneath. Of course, they patrol the edges. Wherever the city of light brushes against the counterfeit world, there is friction. The archons, blind administrators of the lesser order, do not understand the Aeons realm, but they fear its effect. Their power depends on your certainty that corruption is the deepest law, that every golden story is nostalgia or manipulation, that the only cities that exist are theirs, towers of commerce, surveillance, distraction. So they build copies, ideological utopias with dead interiors, shimmering megachurches preaching prosperity without transformation, digital metaverses promising transcendence while harvesting your attention, secret orders that tease light but feed ego. These are their decoys at the border. Seductive, busy, almost right. The hidden writings warn about this in parable and symbol. Babylon masquerades as glory but is drunk on exploitation. False apostles preach another Christ, one convenient for empire. Powers and principalities co-opt even language of light to keep people asleep. The archons don't care if you call something divine as long as it never threatens their architecture. The city of light does. When you glimpse its reality, even for a moment, cheap imitations start to stink. You notice how many spiritual movements revolve around self-importance, tribal superiority, secret knowledge used as a weapon. You notice how often transcendence is sold as escape from responsibility, rather than deeper participation in truth and justice. Ask yourself, which vision of heaven have I unconsciously agreed to? One built from domination, exclusion, flattery? Or one that looks like the Aeons city, radiant, honest, structurally incapable of exploitation? The border is patrolled by algorithms of thought, not just spiritual jargon. Cynicism, mockery of wonder, reduction of all myth to pathology. These are archonic customs agents stamping denied on your attempts to recall. To cross, you do not need to fight them head-on. You outgrow their jurisdiction by aligning with what the city runs on. Sobriety, courage, integrity, reverence for reality as it is, not as marketed. When those qualities stabilize in you, you can walk through their territory like a citizen of another realm. They will still snarl, but they cannot read your passport. If the hidden city of light truly stands, shimmering just beyond the low ceiling of perception, then we have to ask a brutal question. What does its existence say about our own cities? Look around. Towers rising from exploitation, feeds built on addiction, laws written to preserve the advantage of the dishonest, neon over hunger, sermons over repentance, strategy over wisdom. We've called this progress because we lack a reference point. The city of light is that reference point. In its presence, many of our justifications wither. We can no longer pretend that cruelty is inevitable, that corruption is how the game is played, that beauty is a luxury. The city exposes those as provincial excuses of a species that forgot its pedigree. This is where the teaching becomes both loving and unsparing. You are not expected to build a perfect golden city within a broken system overnight. But you are expected, once you've tasted the higher pattern, to stop worshipping the lower one. You can begin with very small rebellions, refuse to sacrifice conscience for convenience, plant enclaves of honesty inside corrupt institutions, or leave them when necessary. Create art that hints at the city instead of normalizing the slum. Protect the vulnerable instead of currying favor with their predators. These are not random acts of kindness. They are architectural micro-choices. They extend the city of light downward, one beam, one gesture at a time. Ask, what would my neighborhood look like if even 3 people here remembered they were ambassadors of an unfallen city? How would we spend, speak, love, design, if we believed the standards of that realm were not fantasy, but obligation? The Aeons are not interested in your admiration from afar. They are interested in whether their city can be seen, however dimly, through you. To find the hidden city out there, you must discover it in here. Every sacred text that hints at luminous cities also hints at interiorization. Paul speaks of being citizens of heaven while walking Roman streets. The Gospel of Thomas places the kingdom inside and outside simultaneously. Hermetic writings describe the purified mind as a temple more precise than any stone. The city of light is not a consolation prize for when your body dies. It is an inner country you begin to inhabit now, sometimes without language for what you're doing. When you sit in honest silence and refuse the constant bait of distraction, you are stepping onto one of its avenues. When you choose to tell the truth, even when nuance and spin would serve you better, you are standing in one of its courts. When you forgive without erasing justice, refusing both vengeance and denial, you are breathing its air. Inside, it feels like this. A growing inability to stomach your own pretense, a deeper tenderness that does not collapse into sentimentality, a sharper discernment that sees through manipulation without becoming paranoid, a secret joy that does not care if it is publicly rewarded. These are the marks of someone walking hidden streets. You will feel out of place in many settings. Good. Ambassadors of one city are not meant to fully blend into another. You will be misunderstood, occasionally attacked, sometimes idolized, often ignored. None of that is the metric. The metric is, are you becoming more like the realm where the Aeons still walk? When you are, the city becomes more accessible, not as an escape route, but as a base of operations. Dreams, intuitions, moments of sudden alignment begin to feel less random. You are in correspondence. Instructions are less about esoteric trivia and more about very concrete, costly love. This is mysticism at its most practical. invisible citizenship shaping visible choices. Beneath all of this, myths, maps, visions, there is a covenant, not the contracts of an insecure deity demanding praise in exchange for tolerating your existence. A covenant of light made before this cosmos twisted, that no matter how deep the exile, there would always remain a witness, a city standing, a path open, a chorus of eons refusing to abandon the sparks that fell into clay. The hidden books flicker with this promise. The hymn of the pearl sings of a garment kept in heaven until the prince remembers. The book of Enoch shows watchers and judgments, but also secret places where the righteous shine. The revelation, stripped of fear-mongering interpretations, ends not in annihilation, but with a city descended, gates open. The city of light is that covenant in architectural form. Its existence says to every soul drowned in propaganda and despair, our agreement with you still holds. Your origin has not been revoked. So the question bends inward. Are you keeping your side? Not by religious performance, not by anxious ritual, but by honoring the faint thread in you that has always known you were made for more than submission to ugliness. Every time you act against that knowing, you collaborate with the forgetfulness. Every time you act with it, you strengthen the bridge. This covenant is why, even in the most compromised institutions, occasionally a saint appears. A person or community that without fanfare lives cleaner than the environment that produced them. They are not anomalies. They are proof that the city is still whispering. You are invited into that lineage, not to become untouchable, but to become faithful. To remember that you agreed before all this, to carry light in places that forgot it existed. And if that stirs both longing and holy discomfort in you, then hear this clearly. The eons are already nearer than you think. So we return to the question that will not die. What if the ancient cities of myth, Shambhala, Hyperborea, the Golden Jerusalem, the Emerald Islands and Radiant Mounts, never fell at all, but stepped sideways out of reach until hearts could see again? What if your lifelong ache for somewhere else is not an illness to medicate, but a compass? If even a fraction of that might be true, then neutrality is over. You are either drifting further into the counterfeit cities, the neon Babylons, the chrome Edens, the digital towers of Babel, or you are turning, however slowly, toward the hidden city of light and the eons who still walk its streets. You do not qualify by perfection, you qualify by consent. So here is your invitation, and it is both gentle and uncompromising. When this video ends, take one quiet moment before the next distraction hunts you. Close your eyes. Breathe. Ask, not with theatrics, but with dangerous sincerity. Show me where I am living, like this world is the only architecture that exists. Show me one place in my life that does not match the city of light, and show me the next honest step to change it. Do not expect an eon to knock furniture over. Expect a nudge, a conversation to have, a habit to drop, a piece of art to create, an apology, a boundary, a book to pick up, a screen to turn off. Obey that nudge. That is how citizens walk. That is how hidden streets become visible. If this transmission has woken something ancient in you, if you felt flashes of recognition more than mere interest, then keep walking with us here. This channel is a lantern pointed at the architectures they tried to erase. The eons, the pleroma, the true Christ light, the covenants of wisdom, the cities that did not fall. And if you feel called to go deeper into this mythic geography in story form, step into my Gnostic-inspired novel, Threads of Light. It's not just a tale on pages, it's a living parable woven with hidden cities, luminous beings, false heavens, and souls learning to remember the realm they once called home. Inside its world, you'll move through reflections of the City of Light. See how ordinary people collide with Aeonic truth, and maybe recognize patterns of your own journey written in another sky. If you do, don't just consume it. Let it read you. Subscribe if this spoke your language. Share this with the one friend who has always felt like they were born in the wrong world. And tonight, when the last light in your room goes out, dare to ask, where are you, City of Light? And how can my life become a doorway to you? The answer may come as a whisper, or as a weight in the chest, or as a sudden clarity you can't explain. When it does, remember, the hidden City of Light is not gone. The Aeons still walk, and they are already calling you by name.